to use some slides I sent you already. So you can follow that with the slides, the copy you got, which is called JDemetra and R. Okay, so let me give you some background on the problem. JDemetra is a software, as I told you already, is a software that has been endorsed by the Eurostat and the European Central Bank, which is commonly used in Europe and in most countries of the world. It's built on a larger set of Java routines for time series analysis and in particular for seasonal adjustment. So because it is built on a large set of Java routines, you will need Java just to interpret the routines and to make the computation. So when you use JDemetra, you must have Java installed on your computer. Anyway, I will come back on that later. So this software JDemetra can be used interactively, as we did yesterday, for example, with what we call the graphical user interface, the GUI. But you also can use it in batch mode. It means by command line, with what we call the cruncher. So the graphical user interface, as we saw that yesterday, is perfect for a very detailed analysis. So when you want to check problems, when you see for the first time your data, it's really perfect for a detailed analysis. But the problem, one short problem, but a problem anyway, we saw yesterday, is that when you have to manually export the components and the diagnostic. We saw that yesterday when we use the output facility. So the cruncher is a batch mode. So you do not open the graphical user interface. You are going to use exactly the same routines, but you do not open the graphical interface. So it allows the complete and automatic refresh of a workspace. So usually, when you update your series, you add a new point, you can just refresh the workspace. We will see that tomorrow probably, okay, during the production process. And so you do not need usually to open the graphical user interface, except if you found some problem in the data. So you have an automatic also export of the components and diagnostics. You have no manual intervention, so it can be easily incorporated in a production process. In part, and so you need to have a software, a language, a script that is going to help you to run things. So in this training, as in the training last year, we are going to use R. Why R? Because R is a free software for statistical computing and graphics. So you can find R. Of course, if you want to use R, you must install R for sure. Okay, so you can download R from this. Let me show you. Okay, I guess the address, the links are still valid, but I'm going to do that. Okay. So here you see you can download the version you want. For example, now the Cat 2.2, the Cat 1.3. This I think I'm using the 4.1.3. Not sure exactly. Do not use, by the way, do not use a too recent R version, because you might experience some problem if the packages you are going to use are not completely in line with a very new version of R. So usually it's good to use version 3 something. It doesn't really matter the version you are going to use, except it has to be not to be the last one. Okay, so you can download it here. Okay, for example, if you want to do that, you can, let me check. If you want to download things, you can click on the CRAN and you will go, okay. So you can, if you have release, a window release, you can check the one you want, you can go to the last one or to the old ones, okay? So you can download it. But I guess that R is not really a problem because you are used to use R. So the next thing is that R usually just the raw statistical software. I mean, it's not very, very easy to use because the graphical interface is usually not so good. So you are going to use, but it's improving a lot. I saw in Siska's video that she is using a different graphical user interface that I'm using. It doesn't matter so much. So for myself, I prefer to use the RStudio, which is a nice interface also. So you can use the interface you want, but it really does not matter. So if I want to show you, for example, the RStudio, you see well when I switch from one screen to the other, it's working?
Yes.
Yes,
perfect.
Okay,
yeah.
super, wonderful. So if I want to go to RStudio, you can here download the studio, and I don't want to accept everything, sorry. So okay, so you have all the instruction to install. So you see, look at that. If you want to use RStudio, for example, you need to use R, at least the version 3.3.0, okay? So you have to choose, so you have everything here, okay? After, you can install RStudio for Mac or for Windows, okay? Here you have Windows, okay? So you can do everything that you want, okay? So usually this is not a problem, this one. When you want to install JD+, I will come to JD+ later, okay? When you want to install R, it's not a big problem. You are used to do that. Take care of the version you are going to use, okay? And let me now go back to my slides. And now, if you want to use JD+, we know how to install JD+, but if you want to use the cruncher, this is what we call the GWSA cruncher. G is for Java, WSA is for the workspace for seasonal adjustment, okay, cruncher. It's a console tool that will do everything for you as soon as you already have your workspace. So you can find it, for example, here. Let me show you. And we are going to start to install things, okay? So I go to my, and I show you now. Okay, when you go there, you find the new version of JD+, okay? So I'm not going to use here you have the cruncher. I'm not going to use the 2.2.4 because it's still a pre-release. You can see that it has been posted 5 days ago, so it's a new release for evaluation. But here you have, for example, the latest version of the 2.2.3. So I will use this one. Take a note here. Here you have something. Do you see exactly what my screen? Yeah, is it okay? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
So if you read the screen, you will see that Java 8 or later version is required to run it. So if you want to use GWSA, you will need to use a Java version which is higher than the Java 8. Okay, so we will use it. We will address the problem later. Okay, So if you want now to install it, it's not very difficult. You have to download the bin.zip, the first one. You download it, okay? So to download it here, I think it just, you have just to click on it, I guess. Yeah, and so I download it here, okay? So I have it on my computer. It will take time to continue to finish the download. There's I guess my antivirus is just going to scan everything to be sure that everything is correct. It's not done yet, so I don't know what's going on, but probably the antivirus is working well. Okay. But anyway, I should have somewhere the zip file. So let me show you how to do the job after. I should have, what's going on here? I should have my, anyway, it's not a big deal. I will go to JD+. Here I have everything. So for example, I have somewhere probably the cruncher. Here I have it, GWSA cruncher 2.2.3 bin zip, okay? So the point is that you have to just to open the zip file and to extract the zip file somewhere, okay? You do not have to install the cruncher itself. You just copy the code on your computer, you copy the zip file, and you copy it somewhere, okay? So for example, I will do it with this one. I will put it on my desktop, just to show you, to make you a demonstration. So I have it on my desktop, it's somewhere. Let me go to my desktop somewhere, okay? So I should have put, here is the cruncher. Do you see it? Yeah, here is the cruncher. I can just extract here the cruncher. So I just say extract here. So it's done. So now here I have a new folder in my cruncher or in my desktop, okay? And the folder contains all the cruncher, in particular the bin things. I'm going to use them. I have here the cruncher, okay? But be careful that to run it, you will need something. Here it's written that to run the cruncher, you need to have Java 8 or later version, okay? So this is that could be a real problem. Let me comment on that. If you are the administrator of your machine, of your laptop, your computer, you have no problem. But usually if you are using the office computer, usually the IT department imposes some rules for security reasons, and you will not be able, it's not obvious that you could install Java. So you have to ask them to install it. Not that you can have several Java versions on your laptop. You do not need to have just one. It's why? Because sometimes some applications use very old Java version, and some other applications are using very new Java version. So what I'm doing, me, on my computer, because I am the administrator of my computer, is that I download, and you can have access to a free version of Java, which is on this link, which is adopt open JDK, so a Java version. So I can use, for example, a Java 11, Java 16, and so on. Usually, I use the Java 11 for the moment, but you can use the Java 8. It will work also. So you have to be very careful with that, okay? So usually you have to install it. You have other platforms. If you do not use Windows, you can download Java for Apple, for Mac, for whatever. Okay, so it's not a big problem. Here you will find the usual version. The second point is that Java is not anymore free, at least for the institutions. And so, but you have a lot of free Java, like this one, you can use safely. Is there any question at this moment? Or is it clear? Is it clear for everyone? No question?
No question.
Okay,
Can
wonderful.
continue.
So is it clear, Siska? You follow everything?
Yeah,
You already did the job, so you understand what I mean, okay? So you have to install the Java you need. So this is the first thing I wanted to show you, say how to install the cruncher. And you have to install the cruncher even if you do not use it directly, but if you use it through R. So the last thing is that now, if you want to use R, JD+ through R, you have to install various softwares, various packages that will make the link between R and JDemetra+. So basically, you have several packages. The first one is JDemetra, which is an R interface to JD+. Okay, so you can find it from the CRAN directly, or you can find it from GitHub. Usually in GitHub, you have a very last version, when in CRAN, you have the last stable version. Let me show you, for example. So you can use here, you will find, because it's in CRAN, you can also excuse me, you can also implement, you can also download it from, excuse me, from JDemetra itself, from R directly. I will show you later. So here you have to read everything. For example, you need also Java 8 or higher, okay, to run it. You cannot use it without R, without Java. So it's clear. Okay, so I will show you how to install it later. You might need also other programs which are, let me come back, which are, for example, we will need the cruncher. So the cruncher itself is also on GitHub, also on GitHub, of course, but also on CRAN. Let me show you. So if I go to CRAN, I will find here the cruncher. The last version, you know, is very, very recent because it has been put on CRAN the 11th of this month, okay? And you will have everything, okay? You can find it, okay? And you have always a reference manual somewhere, so you can check how it works. But at the moment, do not read this documentation. I will give you some examples. It will be much easier to use with the examples than, okay? So here is the way you are going to download things, where you can find the things. Now, let us suppose that we downloaded JDemetra+, we downloaded the cruncher, and we are able to run the cruncher because we have a real the right Java version on our computer. After, the problem you might have is to download the packages. Siska, just a question. Were the people able to download the programs? I mean, GD Plus and the Cruncher?
They are already, and yeah, they can download it, but when they are going to attach it to the put it in the folder, they some members cannot, having
Okay.
some issues.
For JDemetra Plus, I cannot help you because I should be with you to help you if you have a problem. But for the Cruncher, I can show you. For
Yeah.
example, I downloaded my, you remember, I downloaded on my desktop the program. So I'm there, okay. You have on my desktop, I do have, sorry, I should show you. Here I have a folder where I just unzip the package I downloaded, okay? So it's just, you do not have to install anything, okay? But now let me show you. That the problem is, does it work? So to check if it works, you have to open the folder, to go in the bin subfolder, and here you have a gwsa cruncher.bat, which is a command file. So when you click on it, you will run the cruncher. So if I double click, if I click on it, if I double click on it, I have, you see, I have something and it doesn't work. I know that it doesn't work because if it works, I should have something, an output here. So I know it doesn't work, and why it doesn't work? It's because it does not have the right path to the Java version. So to modify it, which is quite tricky, but to modify it, you have to open the bat file. So to open a bat file, you have to right-click on the bat file, on the bat file, and to say modify. So here is the bat file. So it's not easy to read, but here you have to find the Java. You have to find Java, okay. And here is the Java, command. So here, implicitly, this very curious Java command is just to tell you where is the Java you have to find. Usually, you have an automatic link, but here we did not really install the cruncher, so the link is not done really. So this default link does not work. So you have to tell the cruncher where is the Java file. So let me show you something different. I will now go back to my real implementation of Java, of the cruncher. So if I open this one, this is it should be the same, but you will see that. So I'm looking for Java. You will see that I change the path, okay? So I change the Java command path and I put where is my Java version, which is the 1.8. I have my own version, okay? So I put where it is, I will show you. So I copy, you can find it in your, sorry, I should have not. Excuse me, because, okay. So this is the line. So I can copy this line. I will show you. I can copy this line in the other file, but I can also look for where is my Java file. So to see that, you have to go to the program. So I guess I am in and to look for Java. Java is in my program directory. Java is there, so you see where it is, and then I can look to the correct direction address. Okay, so I can put it somewhere. Do you follow me? Siska, is it correct? I understand it's a bit tricky, but is it okay for you?
Yes, same steps.
Okay, so here I do have here the complete line. Okay, I have a real address, so I can specify to the software where is my and I write it in the last. Okay, so I put the correct address there, and now of my new implementation. Okay, so I can save it now. So I save it, and now if I go back, let me go back to my new installation. So if I go back to that, I change the bat file, and if I double click on it, now it works, you see, and I have
Okay.
Does it work now?
Ongoing.
Does it work for you, Siska?
Ongoing, Dominic.
Okay, I hope everyone is. You know, when we are in presential, it's not difficult to show people. But when you are distantial, it's much more difficult because I cannot go from one laptop to the other to tune things. So now I know this cruncher works.
How about the other participants? Then we can ask the other participants, are they already?
I see we have discussion. Thanks. Okay, so it's okay for everyone? So let me show you something different. You will see. I wanted to show you a program. Okay, so Java. You see here, I have a 1.8.0 version, an old version. And I have also somewhere Eclipse here, I have another version of Java, which is the Java 17. So it's much higher version, very recent version. So just to show you that you can have several Java versions on your computer. And you are going to tell JDemetra or the cruncher which version you want to use. Okay? Is it okay? Very often, unfortunately, we cannot do anything because you have restriction on your computers that prevent you to do anything. So you have to ask your IT department. It could take years, but that's why I'm always using my own laptop. Always. Now it's easier because I'm retired, but even when I was working with INSEE or Eurostat, I was using always my own laptop. I know it was forbidden, but I didn't care. because I could work. Anyway, so this is the point. Outside, so outside R, if you want to, you have to do this kind of manipulation to make the cruncher work. After, you have to go to R. So to go to R, it's another story. Because we do not use, I saw that Cisca is using a different graphical user interface, which is okay, for sure, but not completely direct, because what you are going to see on my computer is different from what you might see on your own, but doesn't matter so much, I guess. With R, usually you are more comfortable with R than with JD+. So let me try, for example, to open a code just for the quality report. Just for the example, I'm just using, I should open R here. Okay, here I have R, so I open R. So I have a lot of different things, so I'm going to remove everything. I was working on various calendars, in particular the Islamic calendar. So when you are in R, you can import or not. If you want to import package, you can do that. You can do that here. You see, if you go into the package and you have the same thing in the Cisca, I saw that you had something similar. So here you can click on package and you see the packages that are available in CRAN. And you can just, for example, if you want a package, you can install it and you look for example, RJSWA cruncher, for example, you see, and you install it. Okay, usually it will work, and it will install also all the dependencies needed by the RJSW, no, workspace, it's not GWS, RGWS R cruncher. Okay, it's already installed on my machine, so I do not have it. And here you have installed dependencies. So if the software needs some other package, it will download the package automatically. Okay, so you can do that. You can also say, because JDemetra plus, JDemetra exists, so you can download JDemetra and all the dependencies. It will be done automatically. I'm not going to do it because I already have the last, but perhaps I can do that if you want. But I do not want to do it to be sure that it works after, okay? Sometimes you install a new version and you have something slightly different, you have to change, okay? So you can do that. It's usually easy. A software you will have to use, anyway, is the Java software. You will need Java. Here I already installed it. Java is a package from R that is going to make work of Java routines. Okay, any program written in Java, and the cruncher and JD+ are written in Java. To make them work in R, you need the Java package. Is it okay for you? Do you have any question? I know it's not easy. Try to do your best tomorrow morning, and I will. And if you have other questions after, I will try to help you at distance for some people who could not install things. Okay. Is it correct for you, Siska? You succeeded to run the cruncher?
Yes, succeeded.
Oh, are you okay? So you have the params file, which is an important file I will show you later, okay?
Mhm.
I will work on it later. Is it okay? So we are going to do the following. People are going to try to install things, and they are going to send to you their difficulties, a short message. And if you can, for example, summarize the problems tomorrow morning and send me a list of problems, we can address them tomorrow morning first call. Okay, tomorrow morning for me. Okay. Is it okay for you? Is it sufficient, you think, for people? I think
Yes.
the point was to have the right Java version.
Yeah.
And to be able to put the right path in the cruncher to make sure that it works. So tomorrow morning, we are going to use the cruncher anyway, so don't worry too much. Today, we are going to focus on the calendars, which is not easy at all. But I will try to show you. So before I go to the calendars, I will summarize what we did yesterday with the new data you sent me, the Malaysian data, okay? So I'm going to do exactly what we did yesterday, so it will be a repetition. I'm going to open JD Plus to load the data, to do a first blind seasonal adjustment with the data, okay? Is it okay for you? And create a new, I will redo exactly what I did yesterday, so I will be a bit more, I will do it quickly, a bit more quick. And I hope it will. Do not hesitate to stop me as soon as something is wrong, okay? So I understand that the installation might be some taste of magic. Okay, sometimes you have to pronounce a formula, a strange formula, but to make it work. But don't worry too much. Okay, it's something different than statistics. Okay, so let me share my computer again, and I will. So you received. You received. Okay, you received the Malaysian file, so I will show you. Let me show. So I'm going to here in the data. So I created from from the input I received a file with exactly the same structure than the Vietnamese file. So here you have the exports, it's for agriculture. You have the exports and the imports, okay? We do have them, and we have a GDP here, okay? So usually I prepare, they were well done, so I adjust to put them in a single file to make things easier, but it was okay. I didn't see any big problem. I didn't see, to be honest, any problem. So we will try to adjust the things, and I will do that first. I will repeat, as I said, I will repeat exactly what I did yesterday. And after, I am going to try to create a calendar for Malaysia using JD Plus, which will be quite difficult. I will explain that later. Okay, so let me go to JD Plus. So I open JD Plus. I open JD Plus. I already load the Malaysian file, but to do it, remember, you right-click on spreadsheet, you open, and you go to you go to the real directory where the file is. I will do it again for you, review. So it's in my conference directory, ASEAN, data, and I do have Malaysia here. But I already did it, okay? So I say, okay, I cancel it, and I have it here. So I put it here, I put a yellow star on it to be sure that I will retrieve it tomorrow when I will reopen JD+. So I have it here. So now I can just have a look to the data if I want, as we did yesterday. So if I double click on the imports, M, I will see the file, which is a difficult series. You see, it's a monthly time series. It's very noisy, but we can see pretty well the trend cycle. We do not notice if our data are or are not seasonal. I had a question yesterday on this point. I will show you later how to check that. But I just want to have a look to the data at the moment. So the exports are much lower, very erratic too, probably. I don't know if it is or not seasonal, to be honest, okay? So we will see what we can do in a few minutes, okay? So let me have a look to the GDP, the global GDP. So the global GDP is much more, let us say, simpler than the GDP we had yesterday for Vietnam. You know, it's a large, it's a very, very clear, and after you have a COVID crisis, and you have here the recovery, okay? So now, if you just have a look, you see that the trend is increasing. So yeah, if I continue, I will be roughly, you know, the COVID crisis is behind us, okay? We are on the output gap now, not far from the output gap. So here I will use this series for several reasons. Okay, let me show you how you can play with JD+. So you see, by the way, that the decrease occurred, in fact, here this point is pretty correct, this point, because it's usually, you have here the first quarter of the year is usually lower for the GDP in Malaysia, okay? So the first quarter is here, I do not see, okay, here, so it's lower, so it's not so bad. But the second quarter should be much higher, and it's very, very low. So we can assume that the COVID crisis started in the first quarter of 2020, and the complete turning point was in the second quarter of 2020, okay? So we know that. So let us see what's going on with and after, if you want, you recover. So you had perhaps a first quarter a bit lower than the others, first quarter, and the second quarter incredibly low, okay? So you are recovering after the second quarter of 2000. Let us see if we saw it. You can see it with, sorry, excuse me. I will open a growth chart. Okay, here I have a growth chart. So I'm going to put the GDP, okay? Here. So here is the GDP. And it works pretty well. You know, for example, here, the growth rate, the quarterly growth rate, it's the quarterly growth rate, this one. So So what we want to see is the annual growth rate, okay? So here is the annual growth rate. So you find that, let us imagine that the first quarter of 2020 is slightly positive, the annual growth rate, okay? The second quarter of 2020 is very, very negative. This is effectively, this is the downturn in the economy. But after you see that it's still negative when the situation is increasing. Look here, here you are, it's still negative when you are increasing here. Sorry, it's not exactly the same. I can change it if you want. I can just focus. Okay, so here you see the decline. After you are increasing, you are recovering when the annual growth rate is still telling you that you are negative, okay? Which is true. I mean, in annual growth rate, it's still negative. But in fact, you do not see that the economy here, you do not directly see that it's going positive, okay? So this is the one problem of a growth rate. I wanted to show you that, okay. So now if we want to seasonally adjust things, remember you say statistical methods, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing, new, and we will take, for example, I will stay with RSR1 for X13, and I will use the GDP, okay? I do that, and I'm going to run the software. So the quality is pretty good. I do have some problems. I will check that later, okay? Is it correct? You can do it? Yeah? You can follow on your own computer? I take it for a yes. So let me now answer to the question we had yesterday on the seasonality. Okay, so here is the result of the adjustment. If I want to know if my series is seasonal or not, I can do several things. In particular, I can use statistical tests. So if I go to diagnostic, I have a seasonality test, and I will check on what we call the linearized series. What is the linearized series? This is, in fact, the raw data that have been corrected for outliers and calendar effects, if any. Here, I do not ask for calendar effects, so this linearized series is just corrected from outliers. So it's better to use this series to perform tests because tests are very sensitive to outliers. So here I can check, and you see that we have here 7 seasonality tests, and all the seasonality tests says that, yes, it's okay, our series is seasonal. Okay? If I go to the second one, agriculture, you see that it's yes also. It's working. Mining and quarrying, it's yes. Manufacturing, it's still yes. Perhaps you do not notice, but the window is moving. Here, it's not the same. Look at that. Here we have 0.79. If I go to the next, I have 0.60. And you can see that most of the tests are okay. Just one is not completely clear. Construction, the same, okay, and so on. So for this series, let me continue just to show you. For this one, it's okay. For this one, it's okay. This one, it's okay. This one, it's okay. Even here we have a no here, and you have everyone is yes after. So usually tests begin to disagree between each other when the seasonality is moving fast or is very small. So it's a good indication when the seasonality, when the test disagrees, you have to check the size of the seasonality. Let me continue. Here it's seasonal also. Other services, it's seasonal. And the last one is not seasonal, of course. It's absolute. So the last series should not be seasonally adjusted, okay? Because you do not have any seasonality. Okay, so this is the first thing you should do, is to check that your series are or not seasonal, okay? So let me, for example, do something slightly different. I will use now the external trade data, so statistical method, seasonal adjustment, multiprocessing new. I will open a second SR processing. I will put the data inside and I will run it. Certainly, I'm not doing a good job here because the specification I'm using is probably simplistic. So I should do something different, but just to show you things, okay? So if I go to this one, you see the result. You see the result. If you look at the right, you see that the series is really noisy. You have the points in the graph. Here, I will comment the graph perhaps. Here you have all the values for January, February, and so on, up to December. You have the values of a seasonal irregular component. So from you remove from the series the trend cycle. So here is the seasonal irregular component. The dots are the values computed. So here you have all the January months, okay? Here all the month of February, all the month of March, and so on. After you have two curves, a blue curve, which is a smoothing. The software is going to smooth the cloud of points just to make an estimation of a seasonal component. And the red line is the average, okay? So here is the series. So you see that, and here you have the size of the series, the size of the seasonal component. So you can see that all the values are positive. So it means that this is a multiplicative model. We are using a multiplicative model. And you see that you have, of course, a lot of outliers. And you see that, for example, for January, it's about 10% more than a normal month, when February is about 10% less, okay? March is almost normal, I would say, and you have this kind of, you understand? You have this kind of interpretation, okay? So even if I can compute a seasonal component, it doesn't mean that it's just the result of an algorithm. It doesn't mean that our series is really seasonal. So let me check that. I do not see any seasonality, in fact, okay, in the time series, which is pretty normal, but in this case. But you see that what happens here? In fact, the X13 is computing the seasonal component. So it's just the result of the algorithm. It supposes that it has a seasonal component, so it makes the computation. But the tests are telling you that it's not clear that you have a seasonal component, okay? You should not have one. It doesn't mean you do not have. It means that the series, in this case, the series is so noisy that you cannot really detect it, and it's not clear how you could estimate it. For example, if there's another test which is called you see, the result of this combined test is identifiable seasonality not present. I'm not sure I can identify the seasonality. Perhaps there's a seasonality inside, but I cannot really, because it's very noisy, it's very difficult to see if you have one. After, you have to ask the experts. We are in agriculture, we are importing, M are the imports, so we are importing goods. Is it seasonal or not? I'm not sure. Let us have a look now to the exports. The exports might be more seasonal, but let us check. It doesn't seem that we had, no, the same result. Let us. So for the two series are so noisy that it's not sure it's worth it to seasonally adjust them. At least on this very long time period. So for the first work, I won't seasonally adjust them. I will talk with people. I will just try to understand the series with the experts. But my feeling is that even if the series is seasonal, it will be very difficult to identify and to estimate the seasonal component. Do you have any question? Sorry, which is not at all the case for the GDP. Do you have any question? No? So I can continue, Siska?
One raising hand from Mr. Raf, Philippines.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, let me stop my, just to see the question.
I would like to, hello, Mr. Sir.
Hi, Ralph.
Hello. I would like to seek a clarification when it comes to seasonality test under linearized series. So there are seven types of seasonality test. So when can we say that the time series has a seasonality? It should meet 7 criteria or more than
No.
more than 4 years.
It's a good question. I'm coming back to my, sorry, I will come back to my computer, okay. So usually you see that you have a lot of tests. You have 7 tests. Usually when a statistician gives you 7 answers, it means that it does not know what to say, okay? So you have to interpret these things. You have 2 ways to do that. You can do, for example, the rule of majority. If you have 4 of them that are going to tell you you have a seasonal component, you are going to trust this 4 against the 3, okay? You might have the majority rule. The second thing, a second way, which is mine, is to focus on the Friedman test and the seasonal dummies, the number 2 and number 6. This is my favorite. This is my interpretation. You have papers that shows that, for example, the Fisher test, which is seasonal dummies, works better than the others. You have several studies on that. So I will focus on that. But the real point is the following. I will do two comments, okay? The first one is that when I already said that, but it's good to repeat it, when the test disagree, it means that the situation is complex. And when it is complex, and I go to the second point, it means that you might not be able to estimate a seasonal component, even if you have one. Because the series is too noisy, because things are moving too fastly, and you cannot identify the seasonal component, really. So usually, you see that, for example, for GDP, we have no problem. Everyone agrees, mostly. So we will seasonally adjust the series. When, in this case, in the Malaysian, in the exports and imports you might have a seasonal component, perhaps, but the series is so noisy that the tests tell you that you won't be able to make a good adjustment. So probably it's better. So you do not have a complete and real answer to your question, okay? My experience is that I summarize what I said. I will usually trust the majority rule. I will highlight the Fisher and Friedman test. And if the situation is very, very difficult, they do not agree at all, I will check the size of the seasonality, and I will ask to the experts if we are supposed to find the seasonality in this series, which is not clear. Okay? So you do not have a perfect answer. It's just a question of experience. So the first thing you have to do when you have a set of series to analyze, we already saw yesterday that you have to look at the data to detect eventually some problems. And when you did that, missing values, errors, typing errors, or some things like that. And when you did that, you have to check the seasonal component of a time series. And you can do it, as I said, with a test, but also you need to have an expert of the field, the subject matter, to explain you if you are supposed to have a seasonal component or not in this time series. Is the answer correct, sufficient for you, Ralph?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. Welcome. Any other question? No? Okay, if there's no other question, I can go to the calendar problem, because here, when I did the job, I'm not using the calendar, okay? I do not ask for any trading day effect. So now I'm going to show you how you can integrate a calendar in GD+. Unfortunately, I put some quotes, I'm just kidding. Unfortunately, I had the Malaysian case. And Malaysia has a very, very, very complex calendar. I will show you the point, okay? Let me come back to my screen. And I will show you something I received from Cisca some weeks ago. Let me show you. Okay. So before I start, you have to keep in mind that I am not from your country, okay? I am not from Asia. I do not know a lot about your calendars, and I might stupid things. So do not take it personally just because I do not know things, okay? It just, I'm trying to do my best to understand your culture and your calendars, which is not very easy sometimes. So this is what I received from CISCA some time ago. And from Malaysia, these are the recorded days off or festivals for the year 2022. So let me comment. I put some comments, okay? All the, for example, for me, Lunar New Year doesn't mean anything, but I think this is the Chinese New Year. I guess this is this one because it was the 1st of February. And for 2022, in the Chinese New Year was the 1st of February. So I think it's this one. So this is the Chinese calendar, okay? The second festival is Israq and Mikraj. I found that it's linked to the Islamic calendar. And this is the days number 27 of the month of Rajab. The next one is the, sorry for the pronunciation, Nuzul Quran. This is the lecture of the first lecture of the Quran. So this is celebrated the 15th day of the month of Ramadan. So it's Islamic. So the first is Chinese, Islamic. This one is Gregorian. Okay, this is the Christian calendar. First May of after we go to the Islamic calendar, I guess this is Eid al-Fitr. After we go to the Hindi calendar, because Vesak is the day of the full moon in the month of May. It's for Buddhists. So we are in the Hindi calendar. Here we have anniversary of let us say, sorry for if I'm saying something stupid, but the king, let us say, it should be something like the king. Here, so it's in the Gregorian calendar, I guess, not sure, but I guess. Here, Eid al-Adha, it's in the Islamic calendar. Here, National Day in the Gregorian calendar, Islamic calendar, Hindi calendar, Islamic Gregorian calendar. So it means that in this calendar, in the Malaysian calendar, you have 4 different calendars: the Gregorian, the Chinese, the Islamic, and the Hindi calendar. So it's not an easy task, okay? Because you have to mix everything. So it will be very complex. In fact, the only thing we can do very easily is with the Gregorian calendar. And I will start to build the calendar using this, the Gregorian date, okay? After, let me continue to comment things. After, we do not have a lot of difficulties for the Chinese and the Hindi calendar because they are astronomical calendars. So we know exactly when will be the date of a lunar new year in 10 centuries. We know exactly what will be the date, okay? So we have no problem for that. For the Hindi calendar, we know exactly when will be the date of Deep Valley in 15 years. It's not a problem ever. But for the Islamic calendar, we have a slight problem because it's not a pure astronomical calendar. You of course have astronomical tables that are going to tell you when this is the new moon, and so you could follow the Hijri calendar. But basically, for a lot of countries, of Muslim countries, the real dates are based on the observation of the moon. So it makes things a bit more difficult because the theoretical dates are not the real dates. They could differ from 1 day, 2 days, or something like that. Some countries are not following this observational rule. For example, Turkey is not following that, and you know exactly what will be the date. You already have a government already issued the date of the national festivals for up to 2027. So it is a fixed, let us say, fixed calendar. So it's easier for Turkish people than for Malaysian people, for example. Because I saw that here, you see, you have a star, and the star refers to the fact that they are subject to change. But I guess, I'm not sure, I guess that it should be the same for the 1st of March, the 19th of April, because we see the 15th day of Ramadan, so you need to know when Ramadan starts, and as it might change a bit, the date might change a bit also. It doesn't change because it's past now, so we should know what is the real date, but for the future, it will be, it could change. So this is what I saw in this calendar. I'm not sure I'm right. So if I said something stupid, please let me know. Let me know, and if you have some precision to give, let me know now, okay? So do you have anything to tell me? No?
No, no
Okay.
raising hand.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay. So I have a question anyway for Malaysian people, but I guess I have the answer. I know that I don't know how to say the king. Let me call him the king of Malaysia, retired or whatever in 2019. So this is a new date, I guess. And before 2019, it was another date, I guess. No? There's no people from Malaysia?
Yes, we have some of them here.
So they can confirm that you change the birthday of the king because you change the king?
Mr. Nazri or Miss Maziatun?
Okay, so it's not a big deal. I mean, let me show you how I try to answer to this question. It could be for you a good demonstration. So I'm used to go to this site, which is time and date. Okay, in this site, I can go to look for every country, what are the holidays and events, but they are not very good. You will see why immediately. For Malaysia, for example, they have for 2022, 75 dates because there's a lot of regional holidays, okay? So I'm not going to comment that, but I'm going to go to the excuse me, here. So I saw that since 2020, it's around the 6th of June, but it seems to change. It seems to change, and before it was in September. So when I saw that, I had in mind that you change the king. Something happened here. So I'm not sure, but you see that when you want to, it's a good example because when you want to to draw your calendar, to derive your calendar, you must know a lot of things about the real dates, what happened in what are the calendars, what are the dates, what are the festivals, what happens in the country and things like that. Okay, so I guess that it's always a Monday. What I saw, what I can check, I'm not sure, I just question. I can see that because you have a lot of Monday, I can perhaps make the hypothesis that the birthday is celebrated the first Monday of June, which could be okay or not. But, okay, no? Or something like that. So this is the thing you have to discuss between you, I mean, in Malaysia, how to set up your own calendar, because it's not easy. The best is to try to have this kind of record for all the dates before. You start, for example, in 2000, and you draw exactly this thing. Do you have any question at the moment? No?
No, from ASEANstats. Yeah.
Okay. So as you can see here also, you have replacement days. Okay. For example, here, Labor Day is always the 1st of May, but here you have a replacement holiday for Labor Day. It's because the 1st of May this year was among a Sunday, I guess. And so you had after it was replaced. So this is what is written here. When public holiday falls on Sunday or another public holiday, the next working day will be observed as holiday. Okay. So it's a tricky situation. It's a pretty complex situation. So let me explain you how we can solve that. It takes time and it's a lot of work, but you have to build, if I can say so, you have to build the history. So first you have to start in, let us say 2000, and to try to have this kind of table. Each year, you should have the right dates for each of the excuse me, each of the celebrations. And after, you have also to estimate what is going to happen next year and the year after. Okay, so you must know, which is impossible, by the way, you must know the start of Ramadan, you must know the Mawlid, you must know all the festivals, the Muslim festivals, the date of a Muslim's festival, which is not easy. But you can have an idea of that. You have algorithm that could give you an idea of that. And after, I will show you how to do. Okay? So if there's no question, I will begin to draft, I say to draft, a calendar for Malaysia. I will certainly not succeed to complete it, but I will try to do it. So what I will do, for example, is to start. So let me go back to here. So I am in JD+, and I'm going to go to Workspace, to Utilities, and to Calendars, okay? So at the moment, I just have the default calendar, which is the Gregorian calendar. So I do not take into account any festival, any holiday. I'm just working with the calendar and counting the number of Monday, Tuesday, and so on. So what you want to do here is to use your own specificities and to tell JDemetra Plus that, for example, the first Monday of June is off, something like that, okay? So what I'm going to say, I am going to create a new calendar. So I right-click on calendars, and I click on add calendar, and I will create a new national calendar. What will be the name of the calendar? Of course, I will call it Malaysia. You can use the name you want, okay? And now I can integrate very easily the regular dates. So the first regular date, if I go back, will be the Labor Day, okay? I will do it, but you will see that I'm not able to specify that I a replacement. If I will do a draft, okay? So first, so special day, I will say, for example, special day, it's not, I have Christmas, by the way, but I will come back later on it. So I will look for May Day. May Day is the 1st of May, okay? So it's okay. I have my May Day, okay? I program it in JD+. Second thing, I go back to my list. National Day, the 31 of August, okay? And so 31 of August, I will put it. So I will put a fixed day because I do not know what to do. It's not in the list of special day, so fixed. And I will put the 31 of August. Okay. Ah, sorry, I should not have say okay, completely okay. I apologize. I go back to Malaysia. So you see that I created Malaysia. So I can edit it. Okay. And so now I have a new one. I could use, I have the 16th of September for Malaysia Day, 16th of September. (16th of September). Okay. Ah, should not. You do not have to click on OK each time. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. And after what I have in my list, this is in Deep Valley, Christmas Day. Okay, 25th of December. And the Christmas Day, okay, fix. So special, I will, special day, which is Christmas. So it works, okay? So I have my 4 days linked to a Gregorian calendar. Unfortunately, I cannot here implement the report rule, okay? But I will show you something, okay? So now let me add something anyway. So let me add, for example, the Lunar New Year, okay? So which was the 1st of February 2022. So I will put it, fixed day. I will put it, and I will say it's the 1st of February. Yeah, it was the 1st of February. Let me check. Yes, it was. So let me do it for now, okay? And I will say that it starts this one started in 2000, sorry. It started in 2000 at the beginning. This day has to be considered only in 2022. Okay, so I would say, for example, okay, it just valid in 2022. I do it. Okay. So I say now, okay, it's a very, very simplistic Malaysian calendar, but I say, okay, okay. So I did it now. It's here, I did it. Now I'm going to save my workspace as we did yesterday. So file, save workspace as, and I will call it Malaysia. So I call, okay, I saved it. Okay, it's done. So now I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to close it and to go back to the workspace. So here I created a Malaysia directory with all my SA processing. Okay, and here I have also the calendars, and I have an XML file. Let me open it. So look at what was done. So I put the May Day, I put the 31 of August, the 16th of September, I put Christmas, I put the 1st of February, which was, if I'm not wrong, the Chinese New Year. And I said that I have this validity period. Okay. So now this is a text file. Okay, so let me show you something. Let us imagine that I had, so here you have some kind of skeleton of your calendar in JD+. So you can change it, okay? So for example, you can say, you could say, for example, you can replace this one. You can use this kind of sentence, okay? Special day, event. If you want, for example, to add something for the previous year, you have to duplicate it. Okay, so I duplicate it, I have it twice. Okay, and now I am going to look for the date of the previous in 2001. When was the date of a New Year, a Chinese New Year? So let me go back, Chinese New Year. New Year's Day, it's Chinese, yeah. Last year, it was the 12th of February, okay? Last year, it was Friday, it was the 12th of February. So I can change it. I can say, okay, it was the 12th, and it was in 2021. Okay, and that's it. Here, I updated my calendar. So now, in my new calendar, so I will save it. I will close it. I close it. I go back to JD+. Okay, let me show you. So let me, I go back to JD+. I open it. I will open the Malaysia workspace. Malaysia. Here it is. I will go to calendars. I hope I didn't make a mistake. I will edit it, and you see that I have now the two years. This one is in 2021. This one was in 2022. Okay? So this is how you can do it. Is there any question? You are lost, Siska, no? It was complex?
No, I can follow.
Okay, this is the only way I know how you can deal with these calendars. So I can help. For example, I will show you a short program that will give you the theoretical dates for all the Hijri calendar and for all the years, okay? So the idea is just to run this program to extract the timeline you want, for example, for 2000 up to 2022 or 25, and to replace the dates. You think that you have, it looks completely insane, but you do not have a lot, you have to do it once for the past. And after each year, you update your calendar. For some things, for Malaysia, it will be complex because they have this report rule. If the holiday falls a Sunday, you have a Monday. Or if two holidays fall the same date, you have a Monday also. You see, so it's tricky. You have a Monday and Tuesday. So it could be tricky, and I cannot do that, and no computer can do it. They have to do it, okay? So they have to try to find out all the dates and to put them in the computer. What I can do also, it's not difficult. It's to use the time and date website to derive a potential calendar, but it won't be very, very accurate because they make a lot of mistakes in this website. So the only way to do correctly the job is just to collect all the dates, which is easy for this year, which is perhaps possible for the year before. But who remembers the date of Ramadan 5 years ago? Exactly, nobody. It's impossible. Perhaps someone will, but usually you have to collect the date from official documents. And hopefully in a lot of countries, you have these official documents. And so the right way to build a calendar is to collect this official text, to scan them and to keep them, to put them on the website, as a reference, as an umbrella, and to derive a calendar from that. After, it's just a question of, any people can just write a short program writing all the XML code, HTML code, okay? It's possible to do that. I did it, but you must do it once, at least once. I can help, of course, but I'm not in the head of Malaysian people. Or I do not know your culture, I do not know, absolutely not. So I try to figure out some things, but you see, this is why, by the way, this is why people are doing very often are not using the JDemetra facility for calendar. You can use it when you are in Europe because basically you have just the Gregorian calendar. You can use it. but it's not convenient enough. Even for example, INSEE in France does not use the JDemetra facilities. Italian people do not use also. They use their own regressors. You can build your own regressors. I will make a demonstration if you want in the second part of this morning, of this afternoon, just to show you how you can do it, okay? So I will take a French time series. I will import my own calendar from outside. I'm not going to use for various reasons. One of the reasons is that JDemetra Plus cannot handle a lot of situations. For example, perhaps it can handle the report days. I'm not sure, perhaps. But it cannot handle, for example, different groups. If you want to say, for example, as it is the case in Europe, in most Europe, the retail trade, Saturday is a very different day for retail trade because people are not working and are going shopping on Saturday. So it's a very important day, very different from the others. So usually you can think about, you are not going to check the size of every day, Monday, Tuesday, and so on, because it's not, your model will not be parsimonious enough. So you will try to say, okay, I'm going to consider that Monday to Friday are equivalent, Saturday is a separate day, and Sunday is a separate day. So I will consider that all the days of the weekdays are similar, and the 2 weekend days are different. JDemetra cannot do that. Not really. So that's why we are not using the JD Plus facility for calendars. I suppose that everyone had in mind what we saw last year on the calendars, but I'm not sure it's true. I'm not sure you remember or you read the slides before. So if you want, I can come back on the calendars now to show people how it works. Yeah, Siska, do you think that? Do you think it's a good idea to do that?
Yes,
Yeah,
Dominic.
I think so. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to come back to the calendars and to explain you the problems. Okay. So you have the slides, so you can follow the slides directly. So I'm going to, so let me comment something, okay? Just to refresh your memories from last year. Okay, when I want to seasonally adjust a time series with X13 ARIMA, what I'm going to do? In fact, you have 2 building blocks. Your first building block is called Reg ARIMA, and the second is X11. In the first building block, you are going to prepare the series to be seasonally adjusted. Okay, you are going to clean the series. I will come back. And this second part, you will do the adjustment itself. So you are going, yeah, is there a question? No? So you are going to extract the seasonal component using a specific algorithm, okay? So in the first part, what we are going to do is first to detect the outliers, to eventually correct from the trading day effect, and to make forecast and backcast, okay? So we are going to do that. We are going to use what we call a Reg ARIMA model, okay? So the objective of this part is to clean the series, to prepare the series, to remove the outliers, to remove the trading day effect, and to forecast series. Why? Because, for example, if you keep the outliers, as the second part will use moving averages, moving averages are very sensitive to outliers. So if you keep an outlier, it will drastically affect the estimation of a seasonal component. And you do not want that, okay? So you will correct from outliers before you do the adjustment, the estimation of a seasonal component and the adjustment. Okay, so first part, which is REGA-RIMA modeling, second part, which is basically the extraction of the components. So this is the REGA-RIMA model. A usual additive model for seasonal adjustment is this one. So you have a raw data, X sub t, and you can decompose it in a trend cycle, in a seasonal component, outliers, trading day effects, moving holidays, and an irregular. And you are going to suppose that all the components are orthogonal and non-seasonal, except, of course, the seasonal component. So all these components should be orthogonal, and the 5 components, all the components except S, should be non-seasonal. And this seasonal adjustment is performed in 2 steps. The first step, you are going to estimate the outliers and the calendar effects. With a REGA-RIMA model, it's a regression, but you will assume that the residuals follows an ARIMA model. Okay, and the second step, you will decompose the Z sub t in transitory change, so in trend cycle, seasonal adjustment, and seasonal component, and irregular. So what I called linearized series, this is the ZT here. Okay? So this is what you are going to do. So now the outliers, I skip them, and the calendars. Let me summarize a bit the problem. Usually, the calendars are based on 2 astronomical events. This is the way we are measuring the time, and to do that, we are going to use the regularity and some movements. The 2 most important astronomical objects are for us, are the sun and the moon. Okay, so solar calendars are based on the motion of the Earth around the sun. So in this category, you have a Gregorian calendar, the calendar we are using every day, okay? And this calendar, the calendar year approximates the tropical year, which is the time the Earth takes to make a complete revolution around the sun. And the 12th month, by definition, are strongly linked to the seasons. You have a second kind of calendar, which are the lunar calendars. For example, the Islamic calendar. These calendars are based on the motion of the moon around the Earth. And 1 month is going to approximate the time between 2 new moons, okay? And you have other calendars, such as the Chinese, the Hebrew, or the Hindu calendar, which are solar lunar calendars. And they try to achieve the 2 approximations. Basically, they are lunar calendars. They are based on the moon, okay? But as the moon year, if I can say so, the lunar year is smaller, is shorter than the solar year, this calendar is going to achieve the 2 approximations. So they are going to achieve at the month, the lunar month, and the solar years, okay? So they do that usually introducing new months from time to time to benchmark, if I can say so, the lunar year to the solar year. So it's why from time to time you will add a new month in these calendars. But they are astronomic, okay? So basically theoretically, you can compute it exactly because you know exactly the the way the Earth is moving around the Sun and the way the Moon is moving around the Earth. So what are the various calendar effects? Okay, usually month and quarter may be affected by calendar effects. First, most of our series, not to say all our series, are recorded according to the Gregorian calendar on a monthly or quarterly basis. But month and quarter are not really comparable. First, they do not have the same number of days. Okay, so February is always shorter than January. It will be always shorter. So the production is supposed to be smaller in February than in January, okay, or March. They do not have the same number of Mondays, Tuesdays, and so on. Any month in this calendar might have 4 or 5 Mondays, 4 or 5 Tuesdays, and so on. And it might have a big importance. For example, if you have one Saturday more in the month, so if you jump from one month with 4 Saturdays to a month with 5 Saturdays, you have to expect a much more important turnover in the retail trade, because Saturday is a very special day for the retail trade. And you have also the national public holidays that can affect the number of working days in a month. Sometimes it's very important. In France, for example, we might have up to 4 national days in May. And you have important temporal and spatial differences. So the various calendar effects, what are they? The seasonality, of course, which is due to the Gregorian solar calendar. But remember that in our model, the calendar effects are supposed to be orthogonal to the seasonal component. So we do not consider in the model the seasonality like as a calendar effect, even if it's a calendar effect, okay? We are going to take it apart. You have a length of month effect, of course. February is shorter than January, so you will have less production in February. The day of the week, as I said, you have public holidays. Most of statutory holidays are linked to a date, at least in Europe. It's true not to a day of the week. For example, Christmas is always the 25th of December, but it can be a Monday, a Tuesday, and so on. And it will change things, okay? For moving holidays, when I say most of statutory holidays are linked to a date, not to a day of the week, it could be, you have exceptions. For example, I'm not sure I'm true, but I feel that the birthday of a king in Malaysia is celebrated the first Monday of June. Something like that. I'm not sure it's true, and just a feeling I have from the dates I found of time and date. But for example, you have, if it's true, you see that if it's always the first Monday in June, it will be more a seasonal effect than a calendar effect. And you have moving holidays, the fact that when you mix several calendars, the festivals that are which are not in the Gregorian calendar are going to move through the Gregorian calendar. For example, Easter, the Christian Easter is a lunar festival. Ramadan, of course, is a lunar festival. So it can go through, Easter can move between March and April. for the Christian world, for the Catholic world, sorry. Ramadan, you know, it can move through all the year, all the Gregorian year, but it's fixed in the ASEAN calendar. This is the month of Ramadan. The Chinese New Year can move between January and February. Diwali, I do not remember exactly, but I think it's September, October, something like that, or October, November, I do not remember exactly. And so you have these holidays can move from one year to the other. And it's very, very important, you know that better than me, but for example, the Chinese New Year can have a very important impact on the production, because usually people have a complete week off. So it could affect drastically the economic indicators. So how can we detect pure trading day effect? It's because you have to work with a Gregorian calendar. You have to use the structure of a Gregorian calendar to detect the trading day effects. So I'm just keeping that because perhaps you can read it after, okay? So the moving holidays, you are more concerned by the moving holidays because most of your holidays are linked to other calendars. So moving holidays come from the fact that you are going to use 2 different or 3 different calendars at the same time. So for example, the Christian Easter is moving, but you know that Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, Mawlid, and so on are linked to the Islamic calendar. And you have also the Chinese New Year, Diwali, Pesach, for the Jewish calendar, are linked to lunar solar calendar. So they are not linked to the Gregorian calendar. So if you want, for example, I took this example for you because you are more concerned by this calendar, the Islamic calendar, the Hijri calendar. In this calendar, 1 year has 354 or 355 days. You have 12 months with 29 or 30 days. And in leap years, I mean, leap years are the year with 355. The last month of the year, which is, sorry for the pronunciation, Jumada al-Ula, counts 30 days. And the years, according to the astronomy and the astronomical Islamic calendar, the years follow a 30-year cycle. And you have several rules for the leap years. You have several algorithms. The most common version, which is the second thing, is to say that the leap years, which means the years with 355 days, are the second, the fifth, the seventh, and so on, year of a 30-year cycle. So when you have that, and what is incredible is that on the 30-year cycle, it's a very, very precise calendar, very precise. In the 30-year cycle, the average length of the year is very close to the length of a lunar year, and you have less than 35 seconds of difference, which is incredibly precise. So it's not very difficult to use this calendar in the Gregorian calendar because you just have to have a common point, a fixed point between the 2 calendars. For example, you will say that the first Ras Elam for the year, I do not remember the year in the Hijri calendar, was the 25th of January of this year, 1583. So you say you just link the 2 calendars for one date, and after you follow the cycle and you generate all the theoretical dates of the Hijri calendar in the Gregorian calendar, which is not very difficult. I did that. I will show you later with R. I did that in R. It's working pretty well. It's working well, by the way. So the problem is that you might have to adapt this calendar to the real observation of the moon. So what you can do very easily is to generate a theoretical Hijri calendar, and for the past, you just change the dates when it happens. And for the future, you do not know exactly, but you have tentative dates, which are very good approximation in general of real dates. So you can do it. So building a national calendar, as you begin to understand, building this kind of calendar could be very, very tricky. It's not easy. It could be a nightmare very quickly. For example, public or bank holidays can appear and disappear. One day you can say, okay, I have this kind, you suppress a public holiday or you create a new one. You have substitute days, for example, in UK, Canada, in Malaysia. If it falls a Sunday, then the Monday is off. You might have special days, and exception basically is the rule. You have provincial specificities, so it's usually very complex. For example, in Malaysia, I understand that you have a lot of provincial specificities, so you have to derive a calendar for the state itself that does not take into account all the regional specificities. So I would say that if it is complex, keep it simple. You will see that, for example, in a quarterly time series, there's very scarcely an impact of calendar, very few trading day effect. Let me give you an example. Chinese New Year is a very, very big event, okay? No doubt about it. But it's always in January and February, always. So it's always in the first quarter. So it's not a trading day effect, it's a seasonal effect, okay? Let us think about Ramadan, for example, or Eid al-Fitr. Eid al-Fitr, it's the end of Ramadan. It's the first of Shawwal. I do not remember exactly the name, but it's the first day of the month after Ramadan. So you have a big festival. But let us imagine that for the first time this year, Eid al-Fitr enters in the second quarter, okay? So it's in July, okay? Let us imagine it's the 30th of July for this year. Roughly, the year after, it will be 11 days before, okay? So it will be, if it was the 30, it will be the 19, okay? Yes, the 19. And the year after, it will be the 8th of July, and so on. So it will take 9 years, not to say 9 years, 8 years, to go to the first quarter. So basically, it will be considered as seasonal and not as in quarterly time series. It will be considered as seasonal and not as a calendar effect. That's why it's so difficult to measure this kind of phenomena. We all know that it exists. We all know that. But it's not because it exists that you can seriously measure it, okay? So, as it was for Maldives, this one. So, Perhaps we can stop right now. It's time or not? I'm not sure. I'm lost a bit. At what time should we stop for the break? Siska?
2:30. It's a half hour past
Oh, okay. Oh, it's always past? No.
2:30.
I'm lost.
The
I don't
coffee
know
break should be
exactly.
half hour ago.
So we can do the break now, or
Yes,
you
yes.
want? Okay.
I think
So
we
it
can do
will.
the break
Okay.
15
So
minutes.
we can take just 15 minutes and come back. So I will told you about the modeling of the trading.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Dominic.
Okay. So see you in a
Okay.
few minutes.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dominic.
Everyone should be done now. Everyone is awfully tired, no? Do you follow, Siska? Yeah?
Yes,
Is
yes.
it okay?
Okay. Hopefully
Okay.
everyone else also can follow.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of can, but some you should be tired. Ciao. I will see
Yeah.
you.
See you soon. Dominic, some of the statistic colleagues are still praying.
Excuse me?
They are still praying. Some of the
Oh, yes, yes.
ASEAN statistic
Okay,
colleagues.
no, we can wait. Okay.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Ralph.
I will grab this opportunity while waiting.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Just seek some clarifications to Sir Dominic. With regards to the preparations of list of calendars by year. Like for instance, we have a time series starting from year 2006 up to present. We're going to collect all the dates starting year 2006, and then we're going to log or register all those dates, all those holidays in the JDemetra, but excluding the holidays that falls on Saturday, Sunday, like that.
But you
Is my
usually
understanding is right?
No, I'm not sure. No, it's not. No. You have to register all the real holidays. What I was saying is that for some countries, when a holiday falls a Sunday, the Monday is off because the Sunday is closed. For some countries, for example, Malaysia, if you remember when I will show you. Okay, I will show you. Look, do you see my screen yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you look here at the 1st of May, this is Labor Day. But in fact, the 1st of May 2022 was certainly a Sunday. Okay, I'm not sure. I will check with my calendar. Let me check. Yeah, the 1st of May 22 was a Sunday. Okay, so what they say is that because it's a Sunday, the 2nd of May is off. It's a replacement holiday. Okay. So for some countries, I'm not sure it's yours, the case for you. For some country, when it falls a Sunday, then the Monday is off. And sometimes it's a bit more complex. I guess, for example, I'm not sure here, so that's why you have to work with the people of a country. Let us imagine, for any reason, let us imagine that this year, not only Labor Day, but also, for example, the previous one, Nuzul Quran, was falling on the first on the Sunday, okay, the 1st of May. So you have two holidays falling during the same date, and the same date is a Sunday. In this case, for some countries, they say, okay, because the Sunday is off usually, okay, we are going to celebrate, for example, Labor Day the Monday and Nuzul Quran the Tuesday. So every country has its own rules. So you have to follow the rules of a country. So I do not know your, but when I said you do not use the Sunday, it's just because in Malaysia they are your replacement holiday. You understand me?
Yes, sir. We also have the same situation here in the Philippines. Sometimes
Okay.
they move the holiday, it falls on Sunday, they move on the other day. But in the case
Okay.
that there's no movement on the exact date of the holiday, so we do not need to register if it falls on Sunday or Saturday.
Okay. For
Is that
us,
right,
for
sir?
example, for us in France, we do not have replacement holiday. So if it's for a Sunday, you lose it because the Sunday is already off. So you do not have 2 holidays, you have just one, which is the Sunday. You see what I mean? We do not have that in France. Here they always have the same number of holidays per year. Right? Okay, so is it clear? No?
Yes, sir. Like for example, this coming next year, 2023, the New Year's Day, January 1, it falls on Sunday.
Yeah.
And if the government will not declare holiday on January 2, then we are not going to mark this one as in the
Exactly.
JDemetra.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, sir. That's what I want to know.
That's why you have to build your calendar following some official documentation to be sure that you are not doing something wrong.
Hi.
Yes.
Hello.
Mr. Yefong, yes.
Yeah. So I have some question for this graph for example Lao PDR we we don't have the calendar for the Chinese holiday, yeah, or example Chinese holiday and Vietnam holiday. Maybe we will to the monitoring for the export import, example to China and Vietnam. So the calendar we can to add for the holiday to China and Vietnam. So in the Gemini tournament, so we can to add to analyze for the information, the example to China and to Vietnam, all right?
I'm not sure I understand what you are saying pretty well. Okay. You mean that, I do not understand. You mean that you have some Chinese festival, you use the China calendar in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Or do you mean, yes, this is what you mean?
Yeah.
Or do you mean that some Chinese
I mean for
holidays?
the Chinese holiday and Vietnam holiday. But in the allow PDR don't have the calendar for the Chinese holiday and the Vietnam holiday. So maybe allow for the IMTS information. So we will to monitoring for the information. Example the export and import from to China. Example. So we can add for the calendar for Chinese holiday to the JDemetra to analyze. You understand for
I'm not
question?
sure I understand. I'm not sure I understand you. Because you are, okay, you mean you, I'm not sure I understand.
Dominic, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah,
you
please.
can show the, I think what Mr. Yefong mentioned or try to elaborate here is in the time ended you can have to show is there any Lao PDR holiday, so he can try to use it for to run the data, the Lao PDR data using those calendar, because I think Mr. Yefong, what is in JDemetra purposes is to run the data using your own national holiday or national calendar. So you have to find all the national calendar from Lao PDR and then you input it in your JDemetra. So you are not using the Vietnam holiday, you are not using a Chinese holiday, but you are using your own national holiday, what is implemented in the Lao PDR.
And what he says is that the others are a huge impact on
Yeah.
No, I mean, no, I didn't. Let me share my screen and go to the time and date for
Yes.
Laos. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Dominic.
Okay, so this is what we have in for Laos. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this you were talking about Laos. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what we have in
Maybe
so
we example the Lao New Year.
the Lao New Year was in
Yeah.
the 14th of April for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was not the Chinese New Year, it's something different.
Yeah, but Chinese New Year maybe not yet for the Lao calendar or Lao
No, it's not.
holiday.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not, but it has an impact, you mean?
Yeah, it's not
It's
in
different.
Lao
You know.
holiday, so different. So maybe
No.
we want to monitoring for the Chinese holiday, but we are not in my holiday, my country holiday, not yet the Chinese holiday.
Okay, so what you are telling me is that you could. The question is, should I, if the Chinese New Year has a huge impact on your country, but it's not on holiday for you,
yeah,
should I include it in my calendar? This is your question, basically. Yes?
Yeah.
No, you should not. You should not. Here you have your calendar. Okay, you are going to model your calendar. What you can do is create a separate regressors with the Chinese New Year to see if it has an impact and to model the impact on your series. You should not, I mean, it's different. It's not one day off for you. I add, do I understand well, Siska?
Probably, yeah.
No, I was
Because
not
I
sure.
also
No.
not sure what is Mr. Yefeng try to explain here.
No,
But
there's
Dominic,
two.
question. If countries not implement the Chinese holiday, we can use it. We can use it as to see the seasonality in the data or not? Because in the all countries in the world, like in 2nd of February, all implement the lunar holiday same in the second.
What I would do is certainly is to create a separate regressor, not in.
Okay.
You will see that in the second part of this day. You can create another regressor. It's like I remember that I will take the same example somewhere else. I remember when I was younger, I went to Tunisia, Tunisia to talk about calendar effects, and we were doing some basic seasonal adjustment, and I run the software by default, and by default, the software is looking for an Easter effect. And I found an Easter effect in some Tunisian time series. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, it's a mistake. Of course, you do not celebrate Easter. And I should not do that. And someone was smiling. And I asked him if I was saying something stupid. He said, not really stupid, but when you look at the series you are looking at. So I observed the series, and he told me, this is the number of flights of people coming by flight, by plane to Tunisia. And he said, we do not celebrate Easter, but you celebrate Easter. And when Easter is there, you take some holidays to go to Tunisia. So Easter in France and Germany has a huge impact in Tunisia because, so it's a similar thing you are saying, okay? So you do not celebrate the Chinese New Year, but during the Chinese New Year, something happens that affects your own economy. So you have to take it into account. But I would say that you do not have to take it into account in your calendar. It has to be taken into account somewhere else. Okay? Okay? Yeah?
Okay, yes.
So you have to build a specific regressor for that. And I will show you, for example, how to do that.
Okay. There's one raising hand from Philippines.
Yes, hello.
Angeline, yes.
Yes, hello, Dominic. I would like to ask, when we construct our calendar, we should exclude the provincial holidays, since we also have holidays at some parts of our provinces and it's not really a national holiday. So we are not supposed to include that in our
No,
calendar.
you are not supposed to take it becomes very complex after, because
okay.
if you include it into your calendar, you have to weight it. You have to give it a weight. And which weight are you going to give it? You have no idea. So usually do not do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Just use the national holidays celebrated everywhere. Okay?
Okay.
Other questions?
Not seeing other question.
So people are back? Not yet?
I think yes, they're back.
Okay, so we
And
can
continue.
continue the presentation. Okay.
Sure.
So I will go back to the slides. So now we know what trading day effect is, and we are going to see how to model it. I will take some time after to speak about some specific case to meet the question of our friend from Laos. Okay, so the model is the following, if you remember. Okay, we do have all these components are orthogonal and are not seasonal except ST. Okay, so you can say, okay, for the trading day effects, I'm not going to talk about the moving holiday effect right now, but the trading day effect. A basic model for trading day could be simply, if you assume that the trading day effect is due to the fact that you have more Monday in the month than you have Tuesdays, you are going to count the number of Monday, Tuesdays, and so on in the month. Okay, let us, for example, suppose we have a monthly time series. So you are going to try to see the impact of a new Monday or new Tuesday and so on the variable x sub t. So you will have n it will be the number of Monday for I equal 1 and Sundays for I equal 7 in month t. Okay, and alpha y is the effect of a day. Okay, alpha 1 is the effect of a Monday, alpha 2 is the effect of a Tuesday, and so on. And in this model, epsilon t follows here an ARIMA model. Okay, it follows an ARIMA model, and you will have to try to estimate the alpha y. If you use this basic model, you have three problems. The first problem is that the regressor covariance matrix is not well conditioned, and it means that its determinant is very close to zero. You have a quasi-collinearity of the regressors. So the inverse is very unstable, and the estimates are also unstable. Second thing, trading day and seasonality are not independent here. Why? Let me just comment that. In February, you will always have, on average, less Monday than in January, simply because February is a shorter month. So you will have, on average, less Monday. So it means that you have a difference between the months, and it means that you have a seasonal part in the trading day effect. And so this is the second problem. And the last problem is the fact that you want that the trading day effect vanished, cancelled completely on a week. It means that if the Monday has a higher impact, then somewhere one of the other days should compensate it. Okay, so you need to solve these three problems, and it turns out that if you use contrast and do the estimation of the raw data, you will solve these three problems. So the basic idea is to say, I'm not going to estimate directly the weight of a Monday, but I'm going to estimate the regressor will be the contrast between the number of Monday and the number of Sunday, for example. It could be any other day, but usually we took the same day because Sunday for Christian people have a specific meaning. So we took contrast. This is exactly what is going to do JD+. So you are using this model, and if you take the contrast, you will, and after you will derive the seventh coefficient, which means the coefficient for Sunday. You will take just the opposite of the sum of the other coefficient. So if you do so, you will have the same result, but the model will be more stable, the seasonality and the trading day effect will be independent, and you will have the sum of the coefficient equal to 0 over a week. Okay, so you are doing this kind of thing. Okay, I will not. So now this is what we do, and it works pretty well. So you have a 7 regressor model, which is called in JD+, which is called the trading day effect. So you have X sub t with the first regressor, which is the leap year regressor, and after one regressor for each day, for each contrast, so for each day, Monday, Tuesday, and so on. So you have 7 regressors here, and you have the last one, you will derive it by minus the sum of the other coefficient. But you have also the 2 regressor model, which is called the trading. So the first one is called the trading day, and the other one is called the, I forgot we will see it in, let me check it very quick. Sorry, I apologize, I just forget the name of the trading day versus the working days. Okay, sorry, I forgot the name, just tired. Okay, so this one is called the working day model, and this one the trading day model. So in the 2 regressor model, you assume, in fact, that all the days of a week, all the weekdays are equivalent. So all the coefficients beta 1 to beta 5 are equal. and that the days of a weekend, Saturday and Sunday, are equivalent. And if you do some algebra, if you suppose that the sum of all the coefficients is equal to 0, then you translate this model into this one, which has only 2 regressors and which is, of course, much more parsimonious. So you can do some ideas, some regroupments, and you will see that it will have an impact in a few minutes. Okay. So these are the two models that are present by default in GD+. But these models are too simple and they do not take into account, for example, the national specificities. They do not take into account the national holidays. They have 2 sets of regressors only, 1 or 6 contrasts, and reality is usually more complex. The effects are constant over time, but things and laws change. For example, in France, in Europe,
Dominic, we are losing your voice, the sound.
you do not hear me?
Now it's okay. It's back now.
It's because my internet connection was unstable. I don't know what happened. So it's correct now. Is it correct? Yeah.
Yes, it's good.
So I say that the models are just presented before. The 2 models are too simple because they do not take into account the national specificities. They use just 1 or 6 contrasts, and you might want more flexibility. And so there's a lot of things you should be able to do which are not possible in GD+ at the moment. For example, let me comment about the national specificities. If you want to take into account the national calendar, if you want to build a theory behind it, you have to make the distinction, for example, between Monday off and Monday in. A Monday will be off if you have a national holiday, okay? And in if you have a national holiday is not a Monday, okay? For example, so you will have a complete model with 15 variables. You will have a leap year effect, and you will have the 14 days, different days, when you do the difference between Monday in and Monday off, okay? Tuesday in, Tuesday off, and so on. Sundays in, Sundays off, okay? It's not very parsimonious, of course. It's not at all, because you have 15 variables to estimate 15. It's not possible, usually. So you are going to do hypotheses on the various days. So let me imagine, for example, that all days off, if you suppose that all days off are equivalent to a Sunday, then you will suppose that all the days off, in my model, remember, I put the 7 first were the day in, okay, and the 7 last were the days off, okay. So I will suppose that all the days off are equivalent to a Sunday. So I have this constraint, and if I use this constraint and I do some algebra on the previous model, I will find this model, okay, with only 7 coefficients, but it's slightly different. In this case, unfortunately, the contrasts do not remove the seasonality anymore, and so you have to do it by, if I can say so, by hand. But so you have to construct your own regressors. So this is the way you can do it, okay? So you take it as it is. JDemetra can do that, but cannot do a different groupings. That's why we are doing it outside JDemetra in general. I will show you later, okay? So modeling moving holidays, it's a completely different story, okay? If you think about, for example, for example, to Eid al-Fitr, for example, okay, and Ramadan. Usually Ramadan, you do not have days off for the Ramadan. In most of the country, you have days off, for example, for the Eid al-Fitr, which is not during the Ramadan month, and you do not have, but you might have a special holiday. For example, we saw that Malaysia celebrates the reading of the Quran in the middle of Ramadan. So usually days off are sometimes very often associated to these holidays. Okay, so moving holidays. For example, you have days off for the Eid al-Fitr. Okay, so this is why I was saying, so Chinese New Year, if you celebrate in your country Chinese New Year, it should be taken in the trading day effect, okay? If you celebrate it, if you have days off, okay? So this effect is accounted for in the trading day effect. But it's not the case for Laos. For example, for Laos, they do not celebrate the Chinese New Year, but Chinese New Year might have an impact on the Lao economy. So it's a different thing. You might have an holiday that have an impact on the economy. For example, I take an example for Ramadan. If they want, usually the people, it's a family festival, so people of the same family want to celebrate together the festival. And so they could travel, for example, to come, take some days off and travel to come to see their family and to celebrate the event with the family. And it will have an impact on the transport, okay? For example. Donc, what you want in this case is to capture here the impact of the impact on the economy of a festival. So I take the question of our friend from Laos. He was saying that Laos does not celebrate the Chinese New Year, but Chinese New Year has a big impact on the economy of Laos. So this is this case. You are going to build a regressor to measure the impact of the Chinese New Year on your economy. So how can you do that? I will take a very simple example, okay? So this is, let us imagine that the event is this date. Let us imagine, for example, I take for Easter, but it's the case for anyone, anything. For example, you say, okay, this is the Chinese New Year, okay? And I have an impact, for example, in this case, 9 days before. So I will build my regressor saying that the event is in period M, in month M, and I have 5 days in month M and 4 days in month M-1. So I will build my regressor. For month M-1, it will be equal to 4 divided by 9, and for month M, it will be equal to 5 divided by 9. So you make the regressor proportional to the number of days in the month. So it will be the same. For example, if you want to see the impact of the Chinese New Year for the Lao economy, you will say, for example, the Chinese New Year is celebrated for a week in China. So it will be, this week will be, for example, completely in February, completely in January, or a part in January and a part in February, depending on the year. So your regressor will be proportional to the number of days in January and the number of days in February. And you do that. You construct an external regressor that you are going to import in your adjustment. But you do not modify your trading day effect because it's not a trading day effect. You are not on a vacation during the Chinese New Year. You are just working, but the Chinese New Year has a big impact on your economy. So it's completely different. You might have more general models. For example, I'm using this one, for example, for transportation. You can say, for example, people are going to come to celebrate the Eid al-Fitr with their family. So the transportation, they will come, okay, just arrive one day before the Eid, and will stay with the people during the Eid, and will after go back to go back home. And so you will have an impact on the transportation before and after. And so you are going to build a specific regressor which is proportional to this area. Okay, we'll take the white area and the gray area for month M-1 on all the white area for month M. So this kind of thing, you have to do it aside. Okay. So how can we do that? Let me show you. Do you have any question on that first? I will stop my presentation right now and try to show how you can import a regressor and see a regressor. Do you have any question on that? It's a difficult point, calendars, but I mean, that's life. Any question? No? Wonderful. So what I'm going to do now is something very specific. So do not do it. You cannot do it because you do not have the data, but I will show you what I do, what I'm doing when I work with, for example, my Moroccan friends or my Tunisian friends, or in France, what I'm doing to measure something. Okay, let me show you, for example, something we did with friends. I did not prepare that. It was just a request. So I will try to find the data. Give me some minutes to see that. Okay. Okay, let me, for example, I will use, it's not very important, but let me try to find, I will use a specific workspace. I will try to use the IPI. So I am in Senegal right now, okay? I am in Senegal, and I was working with IPI, their IPI, okay? It does not matter what we did, okay? So at this moment, I'm just saying that I want to seasonally adjust this data with a very basic specification. So I run it. It's done. Okay, everything is done. So now I say I have here the IPI, and I will want to know if I have, this is the global IPI, okay, in Senegal. Does not matter very much what is this series, but I would like to know if I have a Ramadan effect in Senegal. You know that Senegal is a Muslim country, So I want to know if I do have this kind of effect. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me check. I think I do have somewhere a specific calendar thing. Where should it be? Just for the example, anyway. It's not, the data are not very calendars. Senegal, yeah. I do have here a Senegal calendar. So what, I will increase the size and I will explain what I'm doing. Okay, I increase the size first so you can read what is happening. Okay, so here, okay. What I'm doing is the following. Senegal has a lot of different, as you do, has a lot of different festivals, mostly linked to the Muslim calendar. And so I build outside JDemetra a specific calendar. Let me comment. For example, I am in 1980, in January, in the first quarters of the year. The month have 31 days. I have 4 Monday, 4 Tuesday, 5 Wednesday, 5 Thursday. Everything is computed automatically. And here I have until Sunday. And after I have no day off for Monday, no day off. All the Monday are in, all the Monday, Tuesday are in. I have 1 day off, 1 Wednesday off, 1 Thursday off, and so on, okay? Here I am going to, they do not use the same names, but anyway, I will have a look to the Ramadan, okay? So I will build here what I call a Ramadan effect. It could be, for example, the Chinese New Year effect, but for Laos, for example. So I will say, okay, here in Ramadan was in the month of, sorry, let me, I will keep this official. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so now I know that Ramadan occurred in the month of Ramadan. The month of Ramadan started in July 80 and ended in month 80. I had 18 days in July and 12 days in August, okay? The first week of Ramadan, the first two weeks of Ramadan were completely in July. When I have the second week of Ramadan, was 2 days in July and 12 days in August, okay? This is, I built several regressors, okay? And so I can do that. I can build my regressors. So I have all the things in my Excel file. I have all my regressors, and after I can even center them. I mean, just try to remove the seasonal component. Okay, but I will take this, so I will do that here. So you have the same thing here, but centered. So you have here my Ramadan averages effects, okay? Doesn't matter so much, but you have them, okay? So now I will show you how to use these regressors I did outside JDemetra, to use them to measure the impact of Ramadan, for example, of the IPI of Senegal. So here it is. So I will say register. So I am here. Okay. So let me first do something. I will go to provider, spreadsheet. I will I will read a new file, open. So the new file will be the file I just closed before you. Let me find it. It's somewhere. Okay, so here is the new file. So I have all my things. Okay. Ah, I have a problem. Oh yes, because I know what happened. So excuse me, I forgot to put it as a date, as an Excel date. Okay. So it can read the first one, I guess, yeah, but it cannot read the second one because I didn't put it as a. So let me show you how to do it. So I will go to the second. It's this one. Excuse me. So I will put it as an Excel date, really. So format, a date. It's a date. Okay. So now it should work. So I will save it and I will reload it now in. So now I can read it. So here I have my Ramadan effect. For example, for the complete Ramadan, this is the effect. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so now I will try to see if I have an impact of a Ramadan in the industrial production index. So I have to change the specification. Excuse me, I have a problem with, sorry. So I have to change the specification. So I go to the complete things. And now, okay, unfortunately, I cannot amplify the size. So you have to trust me. I will say user variables. I will enter a new variable. Oh yes, sorry. I have first to, I cannot say that, sorry. I forgot to do something before. I have to specify my variables, so I will do it. Utilities, variables. I will use new variables, and in these variables, I will put my Ramadan variable. Okay, so I put this variable. So I have a variable which measures the number of days of Ramadan in a month. Okay, and I want to know if this number of days has an impact on the industrial production index. Okay, so I do have it. So now, sorry, I can now say, okay, user-defined variable. Here I have one, which will be this one, okay, which is the only one, okay. Excuse me, je vois pas le. I should have it somewhere. Undefined. Okay, it's done now. I have it, so done. And you see, I hope you see that I'm using this variable as a external regressor. I apply it. And now I can check if I do have something and if an impact of Ramadan. I do not have. You see, here I do have my variable, I do have my regressor, and the t-stat is not larger than 2 in absolute values. So this, I do not have a specific effect of Ramadan. I cannot detect a specific effect on Ramadan on the industrial production index. So this is the way you should do things. You know, you have to construct your regressor outside and you import them. And you can do that also for the calendar. You can check if the calendar has an impact. You define your own calendar. I know this is tricky. This is not very, very simple. But do not forget, this is an advanced training. Okay, so now we are dealing with more technical things than we did last year. Of course, the problem is that probably you forgot a lot of things since last year, or you were not there during last year, but I have to do what I agreed to do. Okay, so did you understand? So keep in mind, if I try to summarize things, keep in mind that when you can import a calendar, for the calendars, you can sometimes you can build in directly in JDemetra. We saw how to do it, for example, using the XML file and using the GD Plus facility. But you can also import your own regressor into the software. You can build your regressor. This is what we are used to do. In fact, we do that. Unfortunately, I do not have a program to do it. I have a program, but it's a SAS program. But we can work with Siska and Indra to try to share some things. If you want to derive your own calendar, your first job will be to have all the information for all the years, okay? For example, you try to have what we saw with the list. Let me show you. You try to have this kind of text for all the years, okay? So you do have a list of holidays, and for each year you put the name of the holiday. You put the date of the holiday. Okay, sometimes you might have 2 Nuzul Quran. You can have 2 by year because the Islamic, you can have 2 by Gregorian year, solar year, because the lunar year is shorter than the solar year. But usually you put all the dates. This is the first thing you have to do. And my advice, my real advice would be to try to find official text. Do not rely on time and date website. It's not accurate. It's not accurate enough. So, and it's better that you have official documentation in case someone asks you how you did the computation, you can refer, you can say we took the official, the legal text, the official text to derive the calendar. It would be very good to do that. This is not a so big task. It's annoying, but remember that you do it once for the past. And after to update the calendar each year, it's not a big task. It's not a big deal, okay? You can do it very easily. Any question? You are completely done? You're dead? No, not yet?
Not yet. almost dead.
Yes, I think, I understand it's difficult. It's much easier, much easier when you are in presential, because I can see your face, I can see people and can see when something is wrong. Here, I do not
It's
see
wrong.
people, okay? I cannot see the people.
To build the regressor for the
So
calendar.
when I see that someone is hesitating, I can just stop, ask the people what's going on, the person what's going on, and just come back and do it again. But here I have basically no
Yeah.
reaction. I cannot see. I
Only the
see
names.
2 or 3 faces, and most of the people, I do not see them. So this is why I hope once we will have a presential meeting, so we can work together. Really, it would be very great. But anyway, it seems to be very difficult. But I know that the IMF, for example, they come back to presential meetings, which are much more efficient, especially when it's a difficult meeting. Because if I was with Ralph, for example, I could stay with him. He could show me his files, and I could say, okay, do that, do that, do that. Here I cannot. I do not see. I do not see the computer. So, do you have any question? Do you have something you want me to repeat, to go back, to show you?
Mr. Ralph, raising hand.
Yeah, it is just out of curiosity. It is not about calendar national holidays. I just curious if they consider about the effect for natural phenomena like disaster, typhoon, which has a great effect on international trading or economic activity in the country. Like for example, in the Philippines,
you can do the same with anything.
Like Asian financial crisis, global financial crisis, like that.
Yeah, you can do that. You can, for example, try to measure things, to measure the impact of a natural disaster or something like that. You can try by modeling and importing the regressor in JD+. You can do that. If you want to measure the impact of a COVID, it's not so difficult because you already have it. One way to do it very easily is just to put to stop just before the COVID, to forecast the series, and to compare the forecast to the realization. Without the COVID, this is the way the economy should have been. Okay, so you use the ALMA model to forecast the data. Let me show you. You want to see? I will show you how to do that with. I'm not going to do that with the Senegal data, but I will do that with something different. So, File, open recent workspace. Let us go to Malaysia. So no, I don't change anything. So I will go to Malaysia. Up. So in Malaysia, I saved my, okay, I saved my results. So let me just run it. And what I want to do, for example, is to have an idea of what is the impact of a COVID crisis, okay? So what I will do is that I will stop there. So I will do another adjustment. I will do another one. I will take exactly the same data. So I will take also the GDP, okay? I will do exactly the same thing. at the beginning, but here I'm going to say, okay, I will change the specification and I will say that I will stop my series before, okay? So I will stop my series. I won't take, excuse me, up. I won't take everything, but I will stop in 2000. I will stop in 2000 Q2. So let me say, for example, I will stop in April, okay? For example, I'm not sure it will be okay. I could, in March, I will stop in March. So I will take just the first quarter. I will stop my series at the first quarter, okay? And so I will say, okay, apply. So you see, I have my series here. Okay, now let me, so here it's the first quarter. So I stop there. So now let me show you what I got, okay? I have a table here, and in this table, I have my series, and here at the end of the series, you can see the forecast. So let me put a graph. So tool, container, chart, and I will put my series here. So here you see I have my series and the forecast. If everything was okay, this is what I should have, okay? But now I'm going to go back to my previous one and see what happened. So in the main results, I have a table and I will put the series. Okay, and so now you see what I should have. You can read or not. This is the series I should have had if nothing happened. Okay, so my value in the second quarter of the second quarter of 2001 should be this one, and is this one, in fact. So I can make the difference and have the impact of a COVID on the GDP. So the impact of a COVID would be something like it was 302, and here. It was basically 70,000, I don't know, 70,000, so something like 20%. You have lost 20% of the GDP because of a crisis. So you see, with GD+, you can play with very, very simply, not simply, I mean, I can play simply, but it will come for you with experience. So you see that it's possible. So it's different what you said, Ralph, what you asked. You said, if I want, I have, let us say, a typhoon or whatever, a tsunami or whatever, I want to know the impact of a tsunami. So you put a specific regressor at this date or this date or the day after. You put a specific regressor and you import it in GD+, as I did with Ramadan effect for Senegal. You do exactly the same, and you have an idea of the impact of the event. You can do it. It's not, I'm not telling you it's very good. I can say that you can very quickly have an idea of the impact. Okay, you see? So it's very convenient, but not so difficult. You need, I mean, it's like to play piano. I mean, you have to do scales with GD+ for a while. And when you are used with the software, it becomes very, very easy because it's graphical. You do not need to write some code. It's direct from your brain to your hand and you do it. Any other question? You are going to sleep well tonight, I'm sure. You are completely exhausted. I can see in your face you are, but it's good. It's for me, it's some kind of reward. It's not because you are. It means that you try to follow, and it's a difficult topic, and it requires a lot of energy to follow. And you did it, and congratulations! I'm very proud of that. Thank you for
Dominic.
your. So any question, perhaps we are going, except if we have other question, we are going to stop here, except if I miss something, Inda or Siska. If I miss something, just let me know, I will complete, but we can stop now. I think you are tired. Yeah.
Yeah, I have my colleague here, Pak Fatur or Afri. Do you want to add something?
Yeah.
Fatur,
My
please.
set is
Hi, Fatou.
yeah. Thank you, Dominic, for the presentation. You saw us the methodology behind the calendar effect. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the working days, and the working days is not in your presentation, right? Only the trading effect.
Yes.
The working days is not there. That's my first question. The second question is, are we gonna have a practical session on this? I mean, how to apply the model to the this seasonal adjustment?
I will do that tomorrow on very simple series. Okay, I will try to do that on the Malaysian series because they are monthly series. I will do that. I can do that right now if you want. Okay, I can answer
set schedule. That's okay if it's tomorrow.
I could answer to the two questions at the same time. So let us, just to answer your question, I will demonstrate something and you can do the same if you want, okay? So I go back to JD+. So here we are with, so this is not what I wanted to check, okay? So I'm going back to agriculture. So it's the second workspace. So I'm going to okay. So I do have here the two monthly things. Okay, so now let us, in this specification, RSA1, I do not require any trading day effect estimation. Let me try to see if I have one, okay? For example, let us take the imports. So I do not check, we know that we surely probably have no seasonal component, and if we have one, it would be very difficult to estimate it. The question is now, do I have a trading day effect? Okay, so I will go to the specification and I go to regression calendar. Here, if I go to trading days, you will see that I have known. Why? Because I do not ask for a trading day to check for a trading day effect. I could do it now. I could change my specification. I could say, okay, I want to have one. So I do not have a specific calendar. So I would say the default calendar. And what I want, if you can do that with me, you will see that you have a new item now, which is TD. And TD asks you for trading days or working days. This is the answer to your first question, Fatur. In fact, what we call trading day is the model with 6 regressors. What we call working days, it's the model with 2 regressors, weekdays against weekend. It's a stupid language because in fact in English this is exactly the same meaning, but this is the way people are used to talk. Okay, so trading day effect, it's the global effect, okay? But trading day regressors, trading day model is the model with 6 regressors, one for Monday, Tuesday, one for each day, okay? And the contrast after for the Sunday. And the working day model is the day of the week against the day of the weekend days, okay? So if I want to check the trading day, I will put trading day and I will try. So I could check, I could ask for no test. So I want to see the impact. So now I apply. So it's done. And now if I go to the results, I ask for the estimation. So here you will have, you see, you will have here the impact of each day. So you can see that none are significant. It's not significant at all. So it doesn't, I should not do that. But I could say, okay, let us try with the other model, the working day model. So here I will change, go to working days, say apply. And if I go after, I will see that I do not have ever an impact. So for this time series, I would say that I do not have a working day effect. So this is the complete answer to your question. I'm not sure it's a nice answer, but it's a complete answer to your question, Fatou.
Thank you,
So,
Dominic.
to summarize, working day and trading day, just to separate between a model with 6 regressors for the days and a model for just 1 regressor for the days, okay? We separate just, it's a nickname. And you see how to specify it in JD+. Is there any other comment or question?
I think we today enough, Dominic.
You're done. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
That.
So perhaps we could continue tomorrow.
Why your voice like that, Bu?
Tomorrow will be difficult.
Yeah, tomorrow will be more difficult than this.
No, I'm not sure.
Prepare more coffee in your table.
I'm not sure because if you have succeeded to install the products, you will run them because I will give you the code. So it won't be, it should not be so difficult. You will not, it could be just very applied. It could. Anyway, we will see. This is
So 2 coffee on the desk, on the table. Okay. So go back to Siska.
What? Thank you so much for today, Dominic.
Okay, so I'll see you tomorrow.
See you
morning.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Thank you also for all the participants.
Thank you all the
Tomorrow is
participants.
National Holiday for the Philippines.
Huh?
Oh, national
Tomorrow.
holiday.